Tucker Carlson has just confronted the OpenAI CEO, Sam Altman, over the mysterious disappearance of a whistleblower who came out to basically talk about the OpenAI, program and how unethical things were starting to become with regards to the development of AI. Now, if you remember, the godfather of AI who quit Google, right, quit for the very same reasons. Because it was becoming unethical, the way that Google were developing this. And it's essentially become a bit of a space race, but with AI. Everyone wants to be the first to develop the best possible AI. We've got X and, XAI with Elon Musk, who's developing Grok. You've got OpenAI, obviously, with ChatGPT. You've got Google with their own version of Gemini. You've got all sorts of AI programs just popping up out of the blue now. And everybody wants to be the best. And it's starting to get a little bit messy. Let me give you a little bit of a brief kind of background on this. So, Sucha Balaji was a 26-year-old Indian-American AI researcher who worked at OpenAI for nearly 4 years. He's going to be the person that we kind of talk about first. Contributing to the training of models like ChatGPT, but he resigned in August of 2024 amid growing disillusionment with the company's practices, particularly after the internal board drama involving CEO Sam Altman's brief outburst and rehiring. Or ousting, and rehiring. Balaji publicly accused OpenAI of violating US copyright laws by using vast amounts of internet data, much of it copyrighted, without permission or compensation to the creators in an interview with the New York Times in October of 2024. He described this as quote-unquote theft and suggested it undermined the fair use defenses in ongoing lawsuits against OpenAI by the publishers like The Times. Balaji was not deposed in those cases before his death, and had not revealed any novel internal secrets beyond what he had already made public knowledge about AI training data. Legal experts have noted that his argument, while thoughtful, reflected a non-lawyer's perspective and did not fundamentally alter the copyright debate. But on November 26th of 2024, Balaji was found dead in his San Francisco apartment from a single gunshot wound to the head. Toxicology reports later revealed alcohol, amphetamine, and GHB in his system. The San Francisco Police Department and the city's medical examiner ruled it as a suicide shortly after citing no signs of forced entry. Balaji's recent online searches about brain anatomy, and the fact that there was a gun and he had legally purchased, an autopsy confirmed no evidence of foul play. But that has not stopped the internet from doing what the internet does best, by looking into this case to kind of uncover some things for themselves. Now, Tucker Carlson has, taken the bull by the horns with this one and has literally just spearheaded straight into Sam Altman and given him no room for maneuver in a 7-minute interview where he basically just opens the floor for this. Take a little listen to this. This is incredible.
You had complaints from one programmer who said you guys were basically stealing people's stuff and not paying them, and then he wound up murdered. What was that?
Also a great tragedy. He committed suicide.
Do you think he committed suicide?
I really do.
Have you looked?
This was like a friend of mine. This is like a guy that, and not a close friend, but this was someone that worked at OpenAI for a very long time. I was really shaken by this tragedy. I spent a lot of time trying to, read everything I could, as I'm sure you and others did too, about what happened. It looks like a suicide to me.
Why does it look like a suicide?
It was a gun he had purchased. It was this is like gruesome to talk about, but I read the whole medical record. Does it not look like one to you?
No, he was definitely murdered, I think. There were signs of a struggle, of course. The surveillance camera, the wires had been cut. He had just ordered takeout food, come back from a vacation with his friends on Catalina Island. No indication at all that he was suicidal. No note and no behavior. He had just spoken to a family member on the phone. And then he's found dead with blood in multiple rooms. So that's impossible. Seems really obvious he was murdered. Have you talked to the authorities about it?
I've not talked to the authorities about it.
And his mother claims he was murdered on your orders.
Do you believe that?
I'm asking.
I mean, you just said it, so do you believe that?
I think that it is worth looking into, and if a guy comes out and accuses your company of committing crimes, I have no idea if that's true or not, of course, and then is found killed and there are signs of a struggle, I don't think it's worth dismissing it. I don't think we should say, well, he killed himself when there's no evidence that the guy was depressed at all. I think, and if he was your friend, I would think you would want to speak to his mom or...
I did offer. She didn't want to.
So do you feel that, when people look at that and they're like, it's possible that happened, do you feel that that reflects the worries they have about what's happening here? Like people are afraid that this is like...
I haven't done too many interviews where I've been accused of like...
Oh, I'm not accusing you at all. I'm just saying his mother says that. I don't think a fair read of the evidence suggests suicide at all. I just don't see that at all. And I also don't understand why the authorities, when there's signs of a struggle and blood in 2 rooms on a suicide, like how does that actually happen? I don't understand how the authorities could just kind of dismiss that as a suicide. I think it's weird.
You understand how this sounds like an accusation?
Of course. And I certainly, let me just be clear once again, not accusing you of any wrongdoing, but I think it's worth finding out what happened. And I don't understand why the city of San Francisco has refused to investigate it beyond just calling it a suicide.
I mean, I think they looked into it a couple of times, more than once as I understand it. I saw and I will totally say, when I first heard about this, it sounded very suspicious to me.
Yes.
And I know you had been involved in...
Well, his mother
you were
reached
asked to
out
look into
to
the
me.
case.
And I don't know anything about it. It's not my world.
She just reached out cold?
She reached out cold.
Wow.
And I spoke to her at great length, and it scared the crap out of me. The kid was clearly killed by somebody. That was my conclusion, objectively, with no skin in the game.
And you, after reading the latest report?
Yes.
Like, look.
I immediately called a member of Congress from California, Ro Khanna, and said, this is crazy. You got to look into this. And nothing ever happened. And I'm like, what is that?
Again, I think this is, I feel strange and sad debating this and having to
I'm not
myself
even
seem
debating
totally
it,
crazy. And you are a little bit accusing me, but this was like a wonderful person and a family that is clearly struggling.
Yes.
And I think you can totally take the point that you're just trying to get to the truth of what happened, and I respect that. But I think his memory and his family deserve to be treated with a level of respect and grief that I don't quite feel here.
I'm asking at the behest of his family. So I'm definitely showing them respect. And I'm not accusing you of any involvement in this at all. What I am saying is that the evidence does not suggest suicide, and for the authorities in your city to elide past that and ignore the evidence that any reasonable person would say adds up to a murder, I think is very weird, and it shakes the faith that one has in our system's ability to respond to the facts.
So what I was going to say is, after the first set of information that came out, I was really like, man, this doesn't look like a suicide. I'm confused. This looks like...
Okay, so I'm not being crazy here at all.
Well, but then after the second thing came out and the more detail, I was like, oh, okay.
What changed your mind?
The second report on the way the bullet entered him and the sort of person who had like followed the sort of likely path of things through the room. I assume you looked at this too.
Yes, I did.
And what about that didn't change your mind?
It just didn't make any sense to me. Why would the security camera wires be cut? And how did he wind up bleeding in 2 rooms after shooting himself? And why was there a wig in the room that wasn't his? And has there ever been a suicide where there's no indication at all that the person was suicidal, who just ordered takeout food? I mean, who orders DoorDash and then shoots himself? I mean, maybe. I've covered a lot of crimes as a police reporter. I've never heard of anything like that. So no, I was even more confused.
This is where it gets into, I think, a little bit painful, just not the level of respect I'd hope to show to someone with this kind of mental
I get
illness.
it. I totally get it. It's
People
just his
do commit
family
suicide
asked
without
me.
notes a lot. Like, that happens.
For sure.
People definitely order food they like before they commit suicide. Like, this is an incredible tragedy, and
That's his family's view, and they think it was a murder, and that's why I'm asking the question.
if I were his family, I am sure I would want answers, and I'm sure I would not be satisfied with really any. I mean, there's nothing that would comfort me in that, you know?
Right.
Like, so I get it. I also care a lot about respect to him.
Right.
It's a weird one because, you know, just kind of watching that interview, the way that Tucker Carlson really probes the question without actually saying or being accusational. Yes, the thought process is there. Like, you know, he's clearly asking the questions down the line of, did you have anything to do with this? Sam Altman was never going to admit to that, ever. You know, of course it was only ever going to go that way. But the way that this goes down is very akin to that of the Boeing whistleblower. If you remember that case that happened, I think it was last year, maybe the start of this year. I can't quite remember. I think it was last year, 2024, when the Boeing whistleblower was found dead in his car by alleged suicide before he was supposed to turn up to court to blow the whistle against Boeing for, you know, misdeeds, mispractices within the Boeing engines, which led to a lot of catastrophic failures. It's very suspicious, and these things always wind up just fading away and getting brushed under the carpet, even though they shouldn't do, because there's no way of categorically proving, yeah, there was foul play involved in this. Now, the police reports allegedly came back and stated no foul play at all, you know, that they don't believe that there was foul play. Obviously, the evidence that is, you know, provided can tell a different story, but it's really difficult to actually know without, you know, actually having physical copies of the police reports, without having physical evidence to go off of. Obviously, the wig, the blood splats in different rooms, and, you know, no history of being suicidal, no. The evidence doesn't point towards a suicide, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it wasn't. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below on this while you're down there. Well, jump scare the hell out of that like button and subscribe, and until next time, I'll speak to you later. Peace.